Greetings, YouTube. There has been a list of 20 questions floating around the RPG gaming sphere in the last couple of weeks, so I thought I'd hop on the meme wagon and answer them. So here we go. Let me pull this up. Number 1, ability scores generation method. I'm a big point buy fan, and under Pathfinder I would be doing a point buy with a 20 or 25 point pool. 2, how are death and dying handled? You start dying at 0, you die at negative con. 3, what about raising the dead? Possible, but not common. You're going to have to not only pay someone probably upfront, but there's going to probably be a quest involved as well of some variety. I like the way is it with the World Tree, I think it was? Yeah, the World Tree handled it, wherein as you had to owe them 7 years service to have that done, which I think is kind of a good deal. I was thinking of having reincarnate be a lot easier. Druids having a connection to nature that's a little less demanding of your services. 4, how are replacement PCs handled? Situational appropriate, so that if you're venturing out in the jungle and one of your PC dies and you need to replace them, it's going to have to come from a pool of people that could be found in that setting. But within that, I've got a fair amount of elbow room. 5, initiative, individual, group, or something else. Individual initiative for player characters and important NPCs, group initiative for all the mooks. 6, are there critical hits and fumbles? How do they work? I'd be using the standard Pathfinder critical hit system, so that's no extra effort on my part, and I do not use critical fumbles in combat, or skills, because they punish high-level fighters. High-level fighters get more attacks, which gives them more opportunities to roll low. Why would I want to make a mechanism that makes high-level fighters more likely to fumble? That makes zero sense to me. 7, do I get any benefits for wearing a helmet? That's a great question, and am stunned that I have never really dealt with it. That may fall below the level of granularity that I deal with when it comes to things like in gaming. It just may be the point where I don't worry about it. But let's face it, if you're not wearing a helmet, there should be a penalty. So wearing a helmet should give you a bonus of some variety, and maybe a penalty as well. Maybe a negative to your perception checks equal to the armor class bonus, but it's also, you're not going to be killed if you're not with an instant headshot, but maybe if you're not wearing a helmet, you increase your vulnerability to critical hits or something. I'm going to have to think about that a bit. 8, can I hurt my friends if I fire into melee or do something similarly silly? Yes, you can. If you fire into combat past cover and you fail your roll, you hit the cover. If that cover is your friend, you're off the Christmas list. 9, will we need to run from some encounters, or will we be able to kill everything? No, you must run. There will be times when you'll face things that standing and fighting is about as smart as standing in the way of a tsunami. 10, level draining monsters, yes or no? I do like level draining. I don't think I would, at this point in my career, want to have level draining be permanent. I like the idea of temporarily sapping someone's life force, but not necessarily permanently sapping their life force, unless it was really key to the storyline. 11, are there going to be cases where a failed save results in PC death? Yes, but not likely. That's not the kind of thing I just toss out there like candy. 12, how strictly are encumbrance and resources tracked? I don't really track encumbrance all that often. I do, however, require people to put things on their character sheet. If you tell me you pull a piece of a widget out of your pocket and that widget isn't on your character sheet, you don't have the widget. Now, there is a level of granularity I don't pass. So if it says I have armor repair kit on my character sheet, and you say you need a 4-ounce hammer that was originally designed for knocking dents out of armor or something, and you say I pull my 4-ounce hammer out of my armor repair kit, and you don't have to put that on your character sheet. That's fully justifiable. It should exist. But if you start getting into really horribly, exacting detail of all these different things you pull out of that kit, I'm going to start questioning how you're carrying it. 13. What What's required when PC gain a level? Training, or do you get some new spells automatically? Can it happen in the middle of an adventure, or do I have to wait for downtime? It's going to be situational. There are going to be things that make sense that you pick up right there on the spot. Like some skill advancements would make sense if you've been using that skill a lot. You've just gotten better. But if you're a wizard and you need new spells, you're going to have to find a source of them, although that could be a source available on an adventure itself, or you could have spells you found earlier that you couldn't access and now you can. So it's going to be situational. I used to be a big fan of training. Now I'm not so much. It's a tax of time and money, and I'm not a big fan of that any longer. 14. What do I get experience for? You get experience for overcoming challenges. Now, those challenges could be orc barbarians, they could be cliffs, they could be puzzles, they could be negotiations, haggling, they could be clever solutions to situations that I never ever thought of. So you get experience for doing your job as a player. 15. How are traps located? Description, dice rolling, or some combination thereof. You tell me I'm looking for traps, that's not going to do it. You say, okay, I'm using my ubiquitous 12-foot pole to look for pressure plates. Okay, we then roll to see if you succeed. I also would probably allow that method for tripwires and things like that. But if you just say I look for traps, you're not looking properly. I don't need a dissertation on how you're accomplishing it, but I do need you to tell me some significant idea of what you're doing, at least in general. Okay. 16. Are retainers encouraged, and how does morale work? I can't say retainers are encouraged, but if you've got the leadership feat, I would expect them to exist. And once you've got the money available and you can find the right person to hire who'd be silly enough to join a group of adventurers, I don't have a problem as long as you play them and be aware that I, as a GM, may have them do things that you don't necessarily want them to do because they're not your slaves. I kind of miss the morale feature that was in the earlier versions of D&D. I freely admit I do. But I would probably just use a will save based on an increasing DC resistance as things get worse and worse. If other retainers are wounded or dead, if PCs themselves are in horrible shape, people are going to start breaking ranks and maybe running for the hills. 17. How do I identify magic items? I like the identify magic items spell. I like the detect magic spells. So they're going to be used fairly straight out of the book. If people don't have them because there's just not that kind of character class in the player character in the game, I will find ways around that particular problem. 18. Can I buy magic items? Oh, come on. How about just some potions? Consumables like scrolls and potions, 100%. You can buy them, not a problem. Charged items will be rarer, as will recharging said items, but still available. And permanent items are not necessarily going to be just sitting on store shelves, but would fall into the category of black market availability in the sense that it's not going to be the easiest thing to track down, but if you have the right connections, you are probably going to be able to lay your hands on them when you need them, and so long as you have the coin. 18. How can I... 19. Can I create magic items? And how? Yes, you can. I like how Pathfinder does it, particularly the fact that you can take a feat as being a high-level crafter and make magic armor and weapons without being a spellcaster. I like that particular feature. I don't have a problem with people making magic items. I might have certain special requirements as far as ingredients, just so that they're not making them every single time they have downtime. But unless it becomes a problem, I don't see any reason changing the current Pathfinder standard system. 20. What about splitting the party? I don't like splitting the party because smaller numbers are more easy to kill. And that's just the way it is. Larger parties are easier to keep alive from a realistic standpoint. But also, if you split the party up, it's like using net running in a cyberpunk game. The rest of the group sits around and does nothing while I have to focus on an individual who's gone off and does his own thing. Now, there are times when that has to be done. You're a scout, things like that, or you've been captured, things like that, fine. But under normal circumstances, I really like keeping the party together. I think it makes everybody have their own moment in the spotlight. It makes everything move more smoothly. Everybody knows what's going on, more or less, so I don't have to repeat the same thing to the different parts of the group, and the other group has to say, oh, yeah, okay, we already heard you say this, because it would make no sense that I didn't tell them, kind of thing. So yeah, I prefer people not to split the party. I understand it happens at times, but if it becomes ubiquitous, I might point out, please don't do this to your GM. Have kindness upon my soul. So I will post the list of questions in the info bar, and if anyone would like to do a video response or just a comment, I would greatly appreciate it. Have a nice day. Oh, and my familiar is back.